Hey, so I would like to, if you're willing, take some time to lead you through a dominant, non-dominant handwriting activity. So this is something that if you're watching this video, I recommend either doing it with your therapist, or if you're going to do it on your own, bring it into your next therapy session so you can process it with your therapist. A lot of times when we do a dominant, non-dominant handwriting activity, it can bring up some stuff that we might not even be consciously aware is there. The reason for that, the reason we do this, and the reason why I'm recommending that you either do this with your therapist or bring it to your therapist afterwards is when you're writing with your dominant hand. So for me, I'm right-handed. So this is my dominant hand. When I'm writing with my dominant hand, it directly accesses my left brain. My left brain, if you haven't watched any of my other videos, my left brain is responsible for speech, for language. It is the rational part of my brain. It is the logical part of my brain. It is the part of my brain that oftentimes when we're doing inner child work represents my adult self. It is the part of my brain that shows up and it's very cognitive. Yeah, part of my brain is cognitive, haha. But it's that part of my brain that's got a lot of the walls and the defense mechanisms kind of built up around it. It is the experienced, I guess, part of my brain. You could think of it that way. When I ask you to write with your non-dominant hand, so for me, that's my left hand, that directly accesses my right brain. My right brain, again, is emotion, intuition, visual memory. It's where my creativity lies. It's also where my inner child often plays. Through creativity, at least for me personally, and for a lot of people, you'll learn through creativity we can directly access our inner child. So through writing with my non-dominant hand, I can directly access that subconscious part of myself, my right brain. So what we're gonna do is I'll give you a couple prompts, and what I'm gonna ask is after each prompt, pause the video, write it out with your right hand, and then answer the prompt with your left hand, and then restart the video once you've done answering it. And yeah, I guess we'll just jump into it. So find a place that's comfy for you. Find a place that, build your nest, a place that feels safe. I'm sitting at my desk right now just because that's where everything is for me, and this is all set up. But you can sit on your couch, you can sit on your floor, you can sit in your bed, wherever is comfortable for you. Just make sure that you have something to write with and something to write on. So piece of paper, doesn't have to be lined, and a pen, pencil, anything that makes a mark on the paper. Yeah, so pause the video, go get your stuff, get set up, and then when you're back, you can restart it. And so once you have all of your material, what I want you to do is with your dominant hand, so for me, again, it's my right hand, just write out, what is your name? So write the question, what is your name? And then with your non-dominant hand, so switch hands, I want you to answer that question. So you're going to pause the video, you're going to answer the question. Just as kind of a heads up, FYI, it's going to look like a 5-year-old is writing the answer unless you're ambidextrous, and that's okay. This is also for a recovery is a journey, perfectionist. This at first caused a lot of anxiety, and it's okay. It's okay if it's illegible. It's okay if it looks like my 2-year-old wrote it. It's supposed to be that way. You're doing it right. You're doing it correct. So pause the video and answer the question. Okay, so question number 2. I'm going to switch back to our dominant hand. How old are you? You're going to switch and you're going to answer. And what I'm going to ask specifically for this activity is go with whatever your first reaction or response is. So this question doesn't have to be, I'm 30, oh God, how old am I? Oh, 39. I just had a birthday. I'm 39 years old. So I could write 39. And when I sit with this question and I say, how old are you? What pops into my mind right now is 8. For whatever reason, my 8-year-old self wants to talk to me right now. So go with whatever comes up for you. Remember to breathe. I'm needing to take a couple breaths right now. So remember to breathe through this process. Just answer whatever the first thing that pops into your mind is. So go ahead, pause the video, write the question, how old are you? With your dominant hand, switch and answer. Okay. Question number 3. With your dominant hand, we're going to write, what makes you happy? So go ahead, switch to your non-dominant hand, pause the video, and answer the question. Next question, back to your dominant hand. What makes you sad? Switch and pause the video, answer the question. What makes you sad? Switch back to your dominant hand. Next question. What makes you angry? So make sure you're writing the question with your dominant hand. Switch, pause the video, and answer the question with your non-dominant hand. And then switch back to your dominant hand. What scares you? Pause the video, switch back, non-dominant hand. And while you're doing this, feel free to pause the video as long as you need. There's no set time frame unless you need a set time limit. It can take you a couple minutes to answer a question. It could take you a couple seconds to answer a question. Again, there's no right or wrong way. You are doing absolutely beautifully with this. So what scares you? Switch, pause the video, answer the question. Now switch back to your dominant hand. Make sure you're breathing. At this point, I want you to check in with your body. Take a deep breath. Make sure you're exhaling. If you need to make sure your feet are on the ground, whatever it is that you need to do to ground yourself. At some point in doing this, I need to grab a rock. Usually, this is my husband calls it my therapy rock. Helps ground me, something that's solid and has weight to it. So just making sure that as we're going through this process, you're checking in with your body. What do you need right now? Okay. So switching back to your dominant hand, we're going to go, let's see. Is there anything you need me to know? So writing the question, is there anything you need me to know? Pause, switch to your non-dominant, answer the question. And now at this point, again, check in with yourself, check in with what's happening for you in your body. Make sure you're breathing still. I'm just noticing for me, my chest is getting a little tight. I'm starting to feel hot and flushed. My voice is starting to crack a little bit. Sometimes when we start to access the deeper reaches of our subconscious, a lot of emotion comes up. So really depending on what you're experiencing with this, I want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. So just take a moment. If you need to pause the video, go for it. Check in with yourself, take care of yourself, and then you can come back. For the last part of this, I want you to stay with your dominant hand. So this is, again, you in the present. This is your adult self, you in the present. And I want you to have the opportunity to write out anything that you as present self needs to say to whoever came up for you on the other end of this. So pause the video, take a couple minutes, write out whatever comes up for you. If nothing comes up for you, that's absolutely fine. And then when you're done with this, turn the video back on or unpause the video. Okay. So good job. You did it beautifully. You did it perfectly. Whatever came up for you was what was meant to come up for you. If you had an emotional response or body response, again, that's supposed to happen. That's what needed to happen. If you didn't, if nothing happened for you, if you felt very little throughout this, that's okay also. Our subconscious is only going to share what we're ready for in the moment. So if nothing came up for you, that's also 100% okay and perfect and beautiful. So what I'd like to offer after this activity are a couple of options. One is to continue to write. Some people find it really, really helpful after doing a dominant, non-dominant handwriting activity to go ahead and keep writing if more questions come up. Just make sure the question is with the dominant hand, the answer is with the non-dominant hand. Other people find it really helpful to journal after this, to journal about what came up for you, what the experience was like for you, what emotions you're experiencing in your body right now. Another thing I'm going to suggest is to be very gentle with yourself, to do any kind of self-care or grounding that is helpful for you. You can also, and this is usually what I do after this, just because this is more of my inclination, is I'll sit down with some crayons or some color pencils and a piece of paper, and I'll just draw whatever is coming up for me in the moment after doing this activity. And with all of that, whatever came up for you, please take this activity and whatever came up for you and bring it to your next therapy session. Bring it and be able to, so you can be able to process it with your therapist, so that you're not just sitting with whatever came up, but now you can use this as part of your recovery journey, and part of a tool to help reintegrate some of the stuff that came up for you. So thank you for joining me.